Closed captioning is brought to you by BMG, Benefits Management Group.
This is Tom Sykes with Road in Between. We're so excited you're here. Today we're going to be interviewing Tony Pasko. He's the musician for Duck Dynasty, and he'll be sharing his story. And then we're going to be taking a tour of Merrehope with Betty Lou Jones. And then after that, we're going down to Love's Kitchen, where we're going to feed a whole lot of hungry people. So stick around, we'll be right back with Tony Pasko.
The Road in Between with Tom Sykes is sponsored by John O'Neill Johnson Toyota, CRM Companies, Archer Architecture, Mitchell Signs and Imprints, Glass Incorporated, Benefits Management Group.
Well, here we are at Merrehope. Merrehope stands for Meridian Restoration Hope We Get It Done project, and it's a perfect place for us today to meet as we look at hope and hope on the road in between. This old antebellum home right here represents the past history of Meridian, also represents the present here on Martin Luther King Street, bringing hope as well as looking to the future. It all happened because 5 ladies were in a car one day, and they decided, what can we do to keep this house going? And so they met and they took that vision and they shared their wonderful vision of hope. And they have certainly done that, and they have restored it, and that is what it's all about. Hope is our theme for this show, and everybody needs hope. If you don't have hope, then you find yourself in despair and disappointment and wondering about what is your purpose for life. Today's guest with us is Tony Pasko, a good friend of mine and also somebody really active in the community and in music and in life. Tony, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're glad you're here. So tell me, Tony, what brought you here to Meridian, Mississippi?
Well, it's been a long journey, as you know, of course, anybody who has any kind of career or shooting for a career, especially in the arts, and it's extremely difficult. But for myself, like I was saying before, you know, when you look back and you look at the road that you've traveled on, sometimes you do look back and go, wow, I was so smart for going left instead of going right. But at the time, you have absolutely no idea why you did that, or that was going to benefit you in some way. And I guess, like we were talking about having faith.
Yes.
You got to have faith, knowing that you don't know why you're making that choice, but that down the line, down the road, that everything will be okay, and you'll be ahead of the game. And that's what happened for me. You know, I was born and raised in Chicago. My dad was a professional musician. You know, my mom sang too. So I came from a musical family, and growing up in the city, I was extremely blessed to be raised where I was, because there was always so much music. I mean, Chicago has, of course, its history of music, but growing up and being a musician and having a father that was a musician, having that influence, of course, he was, you know, the biggest inspiration, because he was right there. He was this tangible thing for me.
Tony, tell me about epilepsy. I know you had it as a child and how it affected you.
I would have these seizures, and so my mom, you know, being the kind of person she is, took me right into the hospital. We went and did all the tests, spent a year going through all the therapy and all, you know, the medications and everything. Well, during that time, of course, when you're a kid and you're different in any way, you get teased and you get made fun of and you get pushed off swing sets and not invited to birthday parties, and you know, I guess for my mom, when you're a little kid, you know, you can blow a lot of that off, but it's hard for a parent, and I see it more from her perspective now than I did, of course, when I was a kid. So, and the type of epilepsy I have, as I grew older, I grew past it, and and then I moved about my life. I went up, I started playing guitar, but what we ended up finding out, because I had a musical family, and I don't have any, of course, any medical data to back this up, but I do strongly believe that music helps, because when you lose that shortness of breath or you get anxious, that's how seizures come about. You know what I mean? When you're agitated, or when, so they always tell you to stop and breathe. And well, music, when you play an instrument, you play guitar, your whole body has to be in that same rhythm that you're playing. So I think that helped me not have nearly as many seizures as I could have had and stuff like that, because I played all the time. I just loved it that much, so that was my best friend. That was my getaway. That was, my kids are on video games. This was my video game. So for me, that's what I did, and I think that helped me mentally. Maybe it didn't do anything physically. I believe it did, but you never know. I just think, it's just a theory I had.
You got to stick around, because in our next segment we're going to have Tony Pasko. He's going to be playing some of his music from Duck Dynasty and other shows.
Stick around. The Road in Between will be right back. The Road in Between with Tom Sykes is sponsored by John O'Neill Johnson Toyota, CRM Companies, Archer Architecture, Mitchell Signs and Imprints, Glass Incorporated, Benefits Management Group.
Hello, I'm Neil Johnson with John O'Neill Johnson Motor Company. We offer Toyota, we offer Hyundai, BMW, and Mazda.
You can take them beyond the road and go out and have an adventure. You can go hunting, you can go fishing, kayaking, bicycling, take them all out on the road in between.
Some of the great ones for that, Tom, are the Toyota Tundra, Toyota Tacoma, Toyota 4Runner, Land Cruiser is another good one, the Toyota Sequoia. They're great for the outdoors.
You'll come by and see you.
John O'Neill Johnson Motor Company, a name you can trust, products you can depend on.
In today's world, where most businesses and corporations' main mission is to simply make profit, CRM Companies differs itself by focusing on being successful in a way that also promotes growth and prosperity in the community. CRM Companies isn't simply a commercial development and management company. They create opportunities, they create jobs, they maximize the potential for growth and development of a better community, all while still providing great services and outstanding customer relations. Learn more about CRM Companies and their mission today. Visit crmco.com. We're back with The Road in Between with Tom Sykes.
Tell me about Duck Dynasty and how you got involved with that great show.
Look where we're at, because of when that show became the biggest thing. And of course my wife always says, the first thing, I've never done any music for TV, so it's not like I had any history doing it. This was a new thing, and all of a sudden we didn't know that Duck Dynasty was going to be this big hit. It's the highest rated show in cable history. And I have a little bit of part to do with that. Who would have thought? But at the time, no, you can't think of that. Of course you hope, but then it takes on a whole different life. But then all of a sudden you look and you see Geico commercials with dobro riffs, just like the ones you've done for the show, and all of a sudden you see the impression
that it's
carried over to all these shows now. There's a million shows, and they all have dobro, and they all have slide guitar.
Right.
But at that particular time, not very long ago, that was the first show to kind of bring that in, and it was a little more authentic.
Yes.
And they heard it. They saw it, and they put that music, in the show, and it gave it its personality and made it the high-rated show that it is today. And like I said, I'm just happy to have a little.
Well, we're glad you're here. We look forward to hearing some of your music.
I'm going to play a little piece, just something I wrote just recently. Actually, I'm going to play it on. This is my dad's guitar. I'm going to play a little something for you. I was, just lucky enough, I guess, to be in that situation, doing the work, making myself available to where and having the appreciation of learning this music when I came down here. I mean, I can tell you now, I'm 100 times better musician living in Mississippi than I was in Chicago. And it has nothing to do with maybe the physicality of me playing. What it has to do is me learning where it came from. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the behind the scenes of how some of this music came about. Especially in Meridian, Jimmy Rogers and Muddy Waters and B.B. King, and then the Crossroads, and even the mythology of it all. It all came from somewhere. And these were the stories, and being here, gives you that little bit of a little bit better perspective.
What a great story that Tony Pasko is sharing with us as he blends his life with his music and his mission. And coming up next, Betty Lou Jones is going to take us on a tour of the Merrehope, and we hope you'll join us.
The Road in Between with Tom Sykes is sponsored by John O'Neill Johnson Toyota, CRM Companies, Archer Architecture, Mitchell Signs and Imprints, Glass Incorporated, Benefits Management Group.
Hello, I'm Neil Johnson with John O'Neill Johnson Motor Company. We offer Toyota, we offer Hyundai, BMW, and Mazda.
You can take them beyond the road and go out and have an adventure. You can go hunting, you can go fishing, kayaking, bicycling, take them all out on the road in between.
Some of the great ones for that, Tom, are the Toyota Tundra, Toyota Tacoma, Toyota 4Runner, Land Cruiser is another good one, the Toyota Sequoia. They're great for the outdoors.
You'll come by and see them.
John O'Neill Johnson Motor Company, a name you can trust, products you can depend on.
In today's world where most businesses and corporations' main mission is to simply make profit, CRM Companies differs itself by focusing on being successful in a way that also promotes growth and prosperity in the community. CRM Companies isn't simply a commercial development and management company. They create opportunities, they create jobs, they maximize the potential for growth and development of a better community, all while still providing great services and outstanding customer relations. Learn more about CRM Companies and their mission today. Visit crmco.com. We're back with The Road in Between with Tom Sykes.
And we are so proud that we have been able to save this house. And it came about, and it's a very inspirational story to show what one person can do or a few people can do. In 1968, 5 ladies were on their way to Enterprise to a club meeting. And one of the ladies said, we need to have a place in Meridian for our clubs to meet. There were 9 Federated Women's Clubs in Meridian at the time. And Miss Polly Cameron, who was one of those 5 ladies, said, you are so right, and I know exactly the place. That house over on 31st Avenue is about to be torn down, and we need to save it. It is too beautiful to lose. So from that idea, those 5 ladies formed the Meridian Restorations Foundation, saved this house. It was in terrible disrepair. But anyway, they saved it. They borrowed $20,000 to purchase it. They bought it and they restored it. And the purpose of Trees of Christmas is to raise money, but it's also a time for us to remind the public what Christmas is all about. We have a lot of the Christmas trappings, but we also have the stories that are the true meaning of Christmas with Christian display, and this is our story of hope. It started in 1858. The back part of the house was built by Jeriah Jackson and her husband as a gift from her father. The land was a gift from her father. That was in 1858. And of course, when the war between the states or the Civil War came, it was used as headquarters for both the Union and the Confederate Army. And that part of the house is one of 6 houses that were not burned by Sherman when Sherman made his march through Meridian.
General Polk also recognized that Sherman was coming, so he demolished some of the railroads too.
That's right. In fact, a lot of the things that were burned by the Confederates and not by the Union, because he didn't want the Union to have it.
This is the prayer.
That's a prayer, Stu.
Well, it certainly is part of the family rhythm of blending sacred with home life.
Because in those days, they had a lot of church services in the home. They didn't always go to church. You know, a lot of the church, the devotionals or worship services were inside the home. This was given to us by a family in Alabama. They found it in a barn. But when they researched the family history, they found that it was made in Germany. It crossed the Atlantic Ocean, came to New Orleans. On a riverboat, it came up the river from New Orleans to Greenville, Mississippi. Then they called us and said, "Would you like to have it?" And we said, "Sure." And so it's just a beautiful piece of our history. We're very proud of the fact that we keep things going on a smooth basis with donations and contributions in our fundraisers. We have book signings, we have trees of Christmas, we have lunches, we have brunches, we have dinners, and we just invite people to bring their family over for a birthday party or for a retirement party. And so the story of Merrehope is that you save what is important and that you use the resources that you have, whether it's your ability to grow flowers or whether it's your ability to make curtains or whatever your abilities are, to make sure that you help preserve something that is valuable from the past. And somebody says, "Oh, well, it's just a house." It is just a house, but it represents our history.
This outdoor segment with Tom Sykes is brought to you by John O'Neill Johnson Toyota.
Coming up next is our producer, Wayne Burns, who's going to Ohio, and he is going to try and shoot a deer. Now, I don't know if he can shoot a deer. All I ever see him do is talk about deer and wear camo. So let's just see what happens.
Then Duck's time to move on down. We're going to go get our stand set up, put these tree line stands up, get in the stand. Hopefully this evening, maybe this rain will die down and give us a little break in there so we can get in there and hunt this evening. But man, there's some good bucks in there. Man, we own it. We own it big time. Yeah. Just hope and pray, man, that we get them deer to move back through.
We're here in Ohio, in Twin Valley. You know, whitetails. It's a great spot up here. A lot of big bucks have been seen. We got a main trail coming right here. It winds off. We got trails coming right down through here. Coming to what I call a four-way stop. And they're just a lot of bucks on here. A lot of trees down the road, big trees. We seen some bucks this morning. We're about 150 yards from where we seen those bucks. And I believe today's gonna be the day that I get an opportunity to shoot a monster buck right here in Ohio. I'm gonna get set up, get my mask on. Hopefully we don't get these bucks to come in. I'll grind a couple of times. I ain't gonna do much, it's this early season. About a tree. Good buck there. Good buck, yeah. Here he comes, right there. Here he comes to a big buck behind it. He's coming right up that opening. Man, these limbs in the way.
Right now, Wayne's heart's got to be beating out of his chest, and I don't know how he's handling it. He's got 2 bucks coming. Let's see what happens.
You're on him. Good hit, good hit, good hit. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I held and I held and I held. Wesley kept saying no, no, no. All this thick stuff right in here came in. He just piled up. Oh my gosh, we just shot a big buck. Then we had another big buck come in. I mean a monster buck. Couldn't get a shot on him, all these limbs in the way. Good job, brother. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. This is what I needed right here. I believe it's safe to say we can go ahead and start tracking this buck. He's coming. See blood here, blood here, blood here, blood here. Hey, look at that. Look there. What do I see? Look at that monster right there. Man, Larry, thank you, brother. Oh, that's awesome. Come on, check this buck out. Woo, look at that. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, look how big he is. Man, look at this. Is this not a giant or what? Huh? That's a beautiful deer.
And fun. Old Big Daddy right here put it on.
We did it, man.
Hey.
You know, thank the good Lord for everything.
Stick around. The Road in Between will be right back. In today's world where most businesses and corporations' main mission is to simply make profit, CRM Companies differs itself by focusing on being successful in a way that also promotes growth and prosperity in the community. CRM Companies isn't simply a commercial development and management company. They create opportunities, they create jobs, they maximize the potential for growth and development of a better community, all while still providing great services and outstanding customer relations. Learn more about CRM Companies and their mission today. Visit crmco.com.
Award-winning, quality, experience. Glass Incorporated's expert team can handle single window panes to entire high-rise buildings. Whether you need storefronts, glass replacement, mirrors, or shower enclosures, no job is too big or too small. Glass Incorporated, your commercial and residential glass experts. Locations in Meridian, Foley, Alabama, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
We're back with The Road in Between with Tom Sykes.
I don't know what it's like to be homeless, but if I were homeless, I might want to get in a train car just like this. Never even looked inside a train car. But this brings shelter, and it doesn't seem like much, and it seems dirty and scary, but for some it is security, and that really is where God meets people. It meets people who are looking for security and looking for safety, and maybe that's where you are right now, and you're searching right now for what true security is. You thought you had it in money, you thought you had it in houses, you thought you had it in a job, but for some reason you find yourself without. The good news is that as my voice echoes into this train car, God's voice echoes out, and that is that He feeds the hungry, He feeds those who are cold, and He clothes those who are cold, and He ministers to those. How does He do that? He ministers through other people. The angels really now are through other people who recognize that God lives with the hungry, God lives with the thirsty, and God lives with those who are coming out of prison and trying to find a new way of life. This is Tom Sykes with another message on The Road in Between. Next, we're going to Love's Kitchen, and that's where a lot of hunters take the venison so that they can serve the hungry. So stick around. I can't wait to go in Love's Kitchen. This is really one of the major places where I see God at work. This is, to me, what being in between is. In between meals, in between marriages, in between jobs, and there are a lot of stories right inside these red doors. So come on, let's go take a look inside.
Yeah, I lost the job. My mom had a heart attack, and everything just went downhill.
I had a house. I was thrown out, and I lived in a tent in the woods through the cold. When it was 7 degrees, I was in a tent with icicles hanging off of my tent. You go through trials and tribulations in your life. I've helped out here at Love's Kitchen every year at Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's a place where people can come eat and enjoy themselves, and they feel comfortable here.
They're honored.
Yes,
They're
that
honored.
there's a place to eat. Yep. Most people don't have places to eat or anything to do. This opens up the door for breakfast and lunch.
Okay. Now, where are you now? You've worked your way out of homeless.
I am working. I have a job. I have a car. I have a house. I mean, it's all come together.
We are here with Fannie Johnson, and she is the executive director of Love's Kitchen. And Fannie, we are dear friends, and you have served this place so well. Thank you for your ministry and your outreach for those in between. That's the name of this show, For Those in Between, and this certainly is the place for that. And
yes.
Just so glad you're here on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, and we're glad to be that place in between. That place can give that hand up, that hand through, that hand to get people from the spot where they need a meal, maybe every day, to where they don't need a meal but maybe once or twice a week, or eventually where they don't need a meal at all. We're excited about a new program that we're doing at Love's Kitchen, and we're calling it Fruits of Labor. And what we do is we take somebody from either the homeless shelter or a situation where they're almost homeless, and we bring them in here and we train them. We give them real job experience. They go through the background checks, they go through all the things you go through to get a job.
Good.
They stay with me a few months till I'm confident that they're gonna go and work like the employers want people to do. And we have businesses that are on track, have guaranteed interviews. Not guaranteed jobs, but guaranteed interviews. And our first person got hired. He went part-time. He went full-time in 2 weeks.
Wow.
He called me last week to say he is Employee of the Month.
All right.
He is no longer in the shelter. He is on his own. He has a bank account. And he has helped his daughter buy books for college.
Fantastic.
So that's one of the amazing success stories. And we're starting on some new people next week. And that's our goal now. We want to be able to feed people when they're hungry. Because you really can't do anything else if you're hungry.
Right.
You can't go look for a job. You can't go to school. You can't take care of your family if you're hungry.
Now, when they come here, you don't ask any questions.
No questions. If you're hungry, you grab a plate, you sit down and eat. If you're still hungry, you come get another plate.
Exciting to see a community that finally gets it, that it's not just about gathering with people, it's about being sent to serve, and this is one of the great places where people can serve. You can volunteer and get involved at Love's Kitchen. We want to thank you for joining us on our show today as Tony Pasko brought us the wonderful message about his life. Also, we want to thank Betty Lou Jones at Merrehope. What a wonderful place for history, and it's a spectacular place. We hope you come by and visit. And thank you also to Fannie Johnson for sharing her meal and her spirit, feeding the hungry for those in between. And may God bless you, and we'll see you next week.
The Road in Between would also like to thank these fine sponsors. Closed captioning is brought to you by BMG, Benefits Management Group.